The fluorescent lights in the vet's office buzzed like a swarm of angry hornets, and I swear they were drilling straight into my skull. My golden retriever, Max, lay on a cold steel table, his tail thumping weakly against the side, as if he knew something I didn't, something that would unravel the fragile threads of my so-called normal life. "He's fine, mister," Harlan, the vet said, his voice smooth as aged whiskey, eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that made my stomach twist. "But you look like you could use a closer look yourself." I froze, my hand still buried in Max's fur, the words hanging in the air like smoke from a backfired engine. Who the hell says that to a stranger? To a guy who's just trying to keep his world from spinning off its axis after burying his mom 3 months ago and pretending every day that the ache in his chest is just grief, not the loneliness that's been gnawing at him since high school. I mumbled something about allergies, pollen, stress, whatever, and bolted out of there with Max's leash clutched like a lifeline, the door chime mocking me as it jingled goodbye. That was my first mistake, thinking I could outrun whatever the hell that looking DR. Connor Reyes' eyes met. I'm Aaron Harlan, 32, a high school history teacher in this godforsaken corner of upstate New York where the winters bite harder than the gossip. Geneva's a postcard town, Finger Lakes sparkling like they do in those tourism ads, vineyards rolling over hills that turn blood red in fall. But it's the kind of place where everyone knows your business before you do. My mom used to say it was charming, but after Dad skipped out when I was 10 and she clawed her way through nursing shifts to keep our Victorian fixer-upper from foreclosure, charming felt like code for suffocating. Max had been off for weeks, limping on our walks along the lake, whining at night like he was mourning her too. I should have taken him sooner. But grief's a sneaky bastard. It makes you forget to eat, to sleep, to notice the world tilting until it dumps you on your ass. The clinic was on the edge of town, a squat brick building with a sign that read Lakeside Animal Care in faded blue letters. I'd driven past it 100 times, never imagining it'd be the place where my carefully constructed walls started crumbling. Connor, Dr. Reyes. I corrected myself, because formality is my armor, washed his hands at the sink, the water running like a confession I wasn't ready to hear. He was maybe a year or 2 older than me, built like he spent weekends chopping wood instead of scrolling Netflix, broad shoulders under a crisp white coat, dark hair cropped short but curling at the edges, and skin the color of caramelized sugar that spoke of summers in Puerto Rican enclaves downstate. His chart had said he moved here from Brooklyn 6 months back, taking over from old Dr. Ellis, who retired to Florida with his cats and regrets. Max's x-ray is clean, no arthritis, no breaks. Probably just a strain from chasing squirrels, he'd said, scribbling notes with a pen that clicked too loudly in the sterile quiet. Then, that pause, the one where eyes meet and time stutters. "You holding up okay? Rough year." I laughed it off, a bark that echoed off the tile floors. "Yeah, well, dogs don't come with owner's manuals for this stuff." Lie. The truth was, since Mom's funeral, heart attack at 58. No warning, I've been a ghost in my own life. Dates? Non-existent. Friends? The kind who pat your back at potlucks and vanish when the casseroles run out. And the deeper secret, the one that had me scanning church pews for judgment even though I hadn't believed in God since catechism class. Yeah, that stayed buried deeper than her ashes in the columbarium overlooking Seneca Lake. But Connor didn't push. He just handed me Max's leash, his fingers brushing mine, electric, accidental, gone in a heartbeat. Bring him back if it persists. Or, if you need to talk. Vets make lousy therapists, but we're good listeners. His smile was crooked, the kind that dimples one cheek and hints at stories you'd kill to hear over beers at the Rusty Anchor. I didn't go back. Not for 2 weeks. Instead, I drowned in lesson plans about the American Revolution, irony noted, and evenings walking Max until my boots wore grooves in the lakeside path. The leaves were turning. That explosive New York autumn blaze that makes you forget the January freeze is coming. I'd sit on the dock behind my house, skipping stones into the water, wondering if Mom had known. About me. About the crushes I'd nursed on boys in the locker room. The ones I buried under football cheers and straight-A report cards. She'd never said a word, but her hugs lingered a beat too long, like she was holding on to a son who might slip away. The limp got worse. Or maybe I did. One rainy Tuesday, thunder rumbling like God's bad mood. I pulled into the clinic lot again, wipers slapping rhythmically against the downpour. Max panted in the passenger seat, oblivious. Connor was at the desk this time. No receptionist in sight, small-town perks. Aaron, right? Back so soon. His eyes lit up, not professionally, but like he'd been waiting. Yeah, he's persistent. We both chuckled, the sound awkward in the humid air that smelled of wet dog and antiseptic. He took Max into the exam room, and I paced the waiting area, flipping through a magazine on holistic pet care that might as well have been hieroglyphs. When he emerged, coat sleeves rolled to his elbows, revealing forearms dusted with dark hair. He had that look again. Probing. Kind. Still just a strain. But let's rule out Lyme. Ticks are brutal this season. Blood draw. Quick and easy. He knelt to pet Max, and I caught myself staring at the way his neck arched. The pulse there steady and alive. Get a grip. Harlan. As he prepped the needle, chatting about how he traded city sirens for lake loons. I found myself talking back. Really talking. About Mom's laugh echoing in the empty kitchen. About how teaching felt like shouting into a void these days. He listened, needles sliding in without Max even flinching. Sounds like you're carrying a lot, he said softly, taping the bandage. Ever think about unloading some of it? The rain had stopped when we stepped outside, steam rising from the pavement like ghosts fleeing the sun. Max trotted ahead, good as new, but I lingered by my truck. Thanks. For everything. Our eyes met again, and this time, I didn't look away. Anytime, Aaron. He hesitated, then pulled a card from his pocket, not a business one, but scribbled with his cell. Off the record. Coffee sometime? Neutral ground. My heart hammered like it hadn't since prom night, when I danced with Jenny Hargrove to hide the way my gaze followed Tommy Ruiz across the gym. Yeah, maybe. That maybe turned into Thursday at the Daily Grind. A hole-in-the-wall cafe downtown with mismatched mugs and baristas who knew your order before you sat down. Connor showed up in jeans and a faded Yankees tee, hair tousled like he'd run his hands through it too many times. We talked for hours about his abuela's eras con Gandal's recipe that could cure what ails you, about growing up queer in a Brooklyn brownstone where love meant surviving Sundays at church. He said it casual, like mentioning the weather, but it hit me like a freight train. Queer. Out. Free. I sipped my black coffee. Burnt tongue be damned. And shared fragments. The summer I spent in the city interning at the Met. Stealing glances at guys in the sculpture wing. The family friend who offed himself senior year. Note blaming confusion that everyone whispered about, but no one named. Connor leaned in, his knee brushing mine under the table, not pulling away. Confusion's a liar. Aaron. It's fear wearing a mask. By the time we walked out, the sun dipping low and painting Main Street gold, I felt seen. Raw, but seen. He hugged me goodbye, firm, lingering, and I drove home with Max snoring shotgun, wondering if this was what hope felt like. Or madness. The text started that night. Silly stuff, memes about dog dads, a photo of his tabby cat eyeing a laser pointer like it was the enemy. I replied, fingers flying, the screen glowing in my dim living room like a portal to somewhere brighter. A week later, dinner at his place, a craftsman bungalow on the hill overlooking the lake. Bookshelves sagging with vet manuals and dog-eared paperbacks by Baldwin and White. He cooked paella, saffron threads swirling like secrets in the rice. And we ate on the porch as fireflies blinked Morse code in the yard. "You're good at this," I said, gesturing vaguely at the food, the wine, him, making it feel easy. He set his fork down. "I'm serious. It can be, Aaron, if you let it." I did. God help me. I let it. Stolen kisses in his kitchen after Max's checkup turned into lazy Sundays tangled on his couch, watching old Hitchcock films while thunder rolled outside. Connor was a storm himself, passionate rants about healthcare disparities in rural clinics, quiet confessions about the ex who bailed when his dad cut him off for choosing that lifestyle. But with me, he was gentle, coaxing out the parts I'd hidden, the journal entries from college, poems about boys who looked like Greek statues but felt like forbidden fruit. Fall deepened, leaves carpeting the ground in crimson and gold, and I fell harder. We'd hike the gorges, hands clasped when no one was looking, or drive to Ithaca for anonymity, sharing a blanket under the stars at Buttermilk Falls. "I love you," he whispered one night, breath warm against my ear as we lay on the dock behind his house, the lake lapping like a lullaby. I echoed it back, the words tasting like freedom. But freedom's a fragile thing in a town like Geneva. Whispers started, Mrs. Ellis from the bakery asking if I was seeing someone, her eyes darting like she knew. My principal, good old Mr. Whitaker, pulling me aside after faculty meeting. "Heard you've been spending time with a new vet." "Careful. Son, folks talk." I brushed it off, but the seed of doubt took root. What if they found out? What if Connor got tired of hiding? What if I wasn't enough? Then came the call that shattered it all. Late October, wind howling like banshees. My phone buzzed at midnight. Unknown number. "Aaron, it's Sarah, Connor's sister. You need to come. Now." There's been an accident. The drive to Rochester General felt eternal. Headlights slicing through fog that clung to the thruway like regret. Sarah's voice had cracked on the phone. "He's stable. But it's bad. Car wreck on 390. Drunk driver. Stable." That word, clinical and cold, looped in my head as I gripped the wheel. Max's anxious whines from the back seat, the only sound breaking the roar of my thoughts. Connor. My Connor. The man who'd taught me to breathe again. Now broken in a hospital bed because some asshole couldn't hold his liquor. I burst through the ER doors at 2 a.m., scrubs and beeping monitors blurring into a nightmare haze. Sarah met me in the hall, tall, wiry like her brother, her face a map of exhaustion etched with Reyes family fire. We'd met once, at a clinic open house, her hugging me like I was already kin. Now, her eyes narrowed, arms crossed tight. "What are you doing here?" I stammered. We. "Sarah, please." The words tangled. "Inadequate." She sighed, rubbing her temples, and led me to the waiting room where vinyl chairs sagged under fluorescent glare. "He's got a concussion, fractured ribs, lacerated spleen. They operated. He'll pull through." "But Aaron," she trailed off, glancing at the double doors like they guarded more than just her brother. "What?" My voice was a rasp, fear coiling tighter. "He's asking for you. But the family's here. Dad flew in from San Juan. And there's something you need to know." Her paws stretched, heavy as the 4 bags dripping life into veins down the hall. Connor wasn't alone in the car. The world tilted. Not alone. Visions flashed, us laughing over takeout Thai, his head on my chest as we mapped constellation from his porch swing. Who? My mind raced to the worst. Some hookup. A secret life I hadn't glimpsed. Betrayal burned before the truth could douse it. His fiancée, she said softly. Evan. They were coming back from a dinner in the city. Engagement party. Actually. Connor. He was going to tell you. Tonight. Fiancé. The word landed like a gut punch, stealing air from lungs already ragged. Evan. A name I'd heard in passing. Old college flame. The one that got away, Connor joked about over wine. But fiancé, rings, vows, a future that didn't include me? I sank into the chair, the plastic creaking under my weight. As Sarah explained in hushed tones, Evan, the golden boy from Yale Law. The compromise Connor's dad approved of because normalcy heals wounds. They'd reconnected months ago, right around when Connor started at the clinic. A safety net, he'd called it once. Voice distant. For the family. For the practice back home. But us? Our nights tangled in sheets that smelled of pine and possibility. What was that? A lie? A bridge burned before I could cross? Rage bubbled. Hot and irrational. Mingling with the terror of losing him. He played me. I whispered, fists clenching until nails bit palms. Sarah reached for my hand, but I jerked away. No. Don't. He's in love with you. Aaron. That's why he was ending it tonight. Driving back to break it off clean. Her eyes pleaded, but I couldn't hear past the roar in my ears. Love. What a cruel joke. Thrown like chum to a starving man. The door swung open then, and there he was, Dr. Reyes Sr. Silver hair impeccable, suit tailored sharp as his gaze. Behind him, Evan blonde, polished, the kind of wasp perfection that screams old money. He nodded at me politely, like I was just a concerned friend with a limping dog. You must be Aaron. Connor's mentioned you. Mentioned. As if I were a footnote. I stood, legs wooden, and excused myself to the bathroom, where I retched into the sink until bile burned my throat. Staring at my reflection, pale, hollow-eyed, the man who dared to dream, I saw the fool. Closeted Aaron, always the side character in his own story. Mom's voice echoed, life's not fair. Kiddo. But it's yours to fight for. I didn't fight. Not then. I texted Sarah to tell Connor I couldn't come. Family emergency. Max needed me, and fled to the parking lot. Rain slicking the asphalt like tears. The drive home blurred into a watercolor of taillights and wipers. Max's head in my lap as I pulled into the driveway at dawn. The house loomed dark, empty without her, without him. I curled on the couch, phone silent, replaying every touch, his fingers tracing my jaw, whispering mine in the dark. Lies. All of it. Days bled into a week. School became a refuge, drilling kids on the Boston Tea Party, pretending rebellion was history, not the war raging in my chest. Texts from Connor piled up. Please. Aaron. Let me explain. Voicemails. His voice cracked and pleading. It was a mistake. Evan was the past. You're my future. I deleted them all. Each one a knife twist. Betrayal isn't just the act. It's the echo. The way it poisons every memory. Sarah called once. He's out. Healing slow. Asks about you every day. Aaron. He's wrecked. Wrecked. Good. Let him feel the fracture. Halloween came. Jack-o'-lanterns grinning mockingly from porches as I handed out candy with mechanical smiles. Max, oblivious, chased shadows in the yard, his limp forgotten like my heart. That night, drunk on cheap bourbon from Mom's cabinet, I scrolled Connor's Instagram, stupid, masochistic. There he was, arm around Evan at some rooftop bar, city lights blurring the edges. Caption: grateful for second chances. Love wins. The date? 2 nights ago. Rage 1. I drove to his bungalow unannounced, tires screeching on wet leaves, pounding the door until it flew open. Connor stood there, bandaged ribs hidden under a hoodie, eyes wide with shock and something like salvation. "Aaron, you lying sack," I snarled, shoving past him into the living room where photos mocked from a mantel. Him and Evan at graduations. Beaches. A life I'd never touched. Fiancé. Really? While you fed me bullshit about love. He winced, hand to his side. It wasn't. Evan proposed out of nowhere. Family pressure. I said no, but he wouldn't let go. The accident. It was after I told him about us. He grabbed the wheel. "Aaron." Freaked out. "Us." I laughed, bitter as November wind. "There is no us. You used me." Some small-town distraction until the real deal came calling. His face crumpled, that crooked smile gone. "You're wrong. You're everything." I was scared of Dad cutting me off again, of losing the clinic. But losing you? That's what broke me. He stepped closer, voice raw. "Stay." Yell. Hit me, whatever. Just stay. I wanted to. God, the pull was magnetic. His scent, sage and sandalwood, dragging me under. But trust? Shattered like the windshield of that car. "I can't," I whispered, backing toward the door. "Not like this." Outside, the lake whispered secrets I couldn't decipher, rain mingling with the salt on my cheeks. I drove aimlessly, ending up at the gorge overlook where we'd shared our first real kiss, waterfalls thundering below like the chaos in my soul. There, in the dark, I screamed until my throat ached, the sound swallowed by the roar. Betrayal wasn't just his, it was mine, for believing I deserved more. November brought frost, brittle and unforgiving. I avoided the clinic, took Max to the chain store vet in Watkins Glen, impersonal, safe. School holidays loomed, a void without Mom's turkey giblet gravy. Connor stopped calling, but packages arrived, a worn copy of Giovanni's Room, dog treats shaped like bones, a note in his scrawl, "Read this. Then decide." I read it. Baldwin's words slicing deeper than scalpels, the terror of loving against the grain, the exile of the heart. It mirrored us raw, unflinching. But decide? How? When every glance in the mirror showed a man too cowardly to claim his truth. The breaking point came mid-month. A faculty mixer at the Elks Lodge. Whitaker cornered me by the punch bowl, breath sour with scotch. "Heard about you and the vet. Town's buzzing, Reyes kids engaged. But you're sniffing around? Careful. Harlan. Board doesn't look kindly on. Distractions. Distractions. Code for deviant." The room spun, faces blurring into judgment. I fled to the parking lot, snow flurrying like confetti from hell, and dialed the one person who'd understand. Not Connor. Sarah. "He loves you," she said immediately, voice tinny over the line. "Evan's out, left for Boston after the truth came clean. Connor's fighting Dad tooth and nail to keep the clinic, to stay here. For you." Snow stung my eyes. Why didn't he tell me? Fear. Aaron. Same as you. Pause. Thanksgiving. His place. Cool me. Or lose him forever. I hung up, staring at the lodge lights twinkling like false promises. Lose him. The thought hollowed me out, worse than Mom's absence. By dawn, decision made, fight or fold. I chose fight. Thanksgiving morning, I baked Mom's pie pecan, sticky and sweet, driving through flurries to his door. He opened it barefoot, apron dusted with flour, eyes hopeful and haunted. "Aaron." No words. I pulled him close, pie box crushed between us, and kissed him like it was absolution. I'm here, I murmured against his lips. But no more secrets. He nodded, tears salting our skin. No more. Promise. We cooked together, turkey basting, stories spilling like gravy. His dad called midway, voice booming through speaker. Me, Joe. When are you coming home? Evan was good for you. Connor's hand trembled in mine. Dad, I'm home. And I'm in love with Aaron. Silence. Then a sigh like continents shifting. You break my heart. But. Okay. Okay. Relief crashed. But so did the aftershocks. That night, as snow blanketed the lake, we lay entwined, his fingers tracing my scars, invisible ones, etched by years of hiding. Almost lost you, he whispered. You did, I admitted. But we're here, human, flawed, together. For now. Winter clamped down on Geneva like a vice, the lake freezing into a vast mirror that reflected every crack in my resolve. December dawned brittle, icicles daggering from eaves, and with it came the illusion of solidity, us against the world, bundled in flannel and fortitude. Connor and I carved out a rhythm, mornings with coffee steaming on his porch, watching mist rise off the ice, evenings grading papers while he pored over charts. Max sprawled between us like a furry diplomat. It felt like mending a slow stitch over the gash Evan had left, the one that still wept out in quiet moments. But doubt's a persistent weed, thriving in the cold. New Year's Eve, we hosted a small gathering at my place. Sarah, a couple clinic techs, locals who'd warmed to the new vet despite the whispers. Fire crackled in the hearth. Champagne fizzed. And as midnight tolled, Connor pulled me onto the frozen lawn, our breaths clouding the stars. To us, he toasted, kissing me under the moon's indifferent gaze. The text cheered, but I caught Whitaker's car idling at the curb, watching. Always watching. January brought blizzards that buried roads, forcing us into cocoon days. We'd hole up, baking bread that filled the house with yeast and warmth, or skate the lake's edge, his laughter echoing as I flailed like a newborn foal. You're a natural liar, he'd tease, steadying me with hands that knew my every tremble. In those hours, love felt invincible, deep as the gorge, steady as the falls. He shared more, the Brooklyn Nights dodging slurs, the scholarship that dragged him to vet school in Ithaca, the ache of being the family's fixer while his own heart splintered. I reciprocated, peeling back layers, Dad's abandonment, a ghost story of bar tabs and broken promises, the high school coach who cornered me post-practice, breath hot with beer, murmuring tests that left me scrubbing skin raw for weeks. I thought it was my fault. I confessed one night, fire dying to embers, that I invited it. Connor's arms tightened, voice fierce. No. Never. You're light. Aaron. Pure light. We made love then, slow, reverent, bodies mapping forgiveness. No rush, no desperation, just us, reclaiming what fear had stolen. But February thawed secrets I'd buried deeper than permafrost. A letter arrived, forwarded from Mom's old address, yellowed envelope. Dad scrawled jagged as his regrets. Heard about your ma. Sorry, kid. Coming through, need to talk. Need to talk. After 22 years of radio silence. Now, I crumpled it, but Connor found the pieces in the trash, piecing them like a puzzle I didn't want solved. He's your blood, he said gently, over breakfast at the diner where pancakes drowned sorrows in syrup. Doesn't mean you owe him, but closure, closure. What a tidy word for the storm Dad stirred. He blew into town mid-month, a hulking figure in a parka too new for his weathered frame, smelling a truck stop coffee and unearned familiarity. We met at the Rusty Anchor, neutral ground, booze scarred by decades of spilled beers and secrets. Max sat at my feet, growling low, smarter than me. "Aaron, son," he boomed, clapping my shoulder like we hadn't parted with him peeling out of the driveway. Mom sobbing on the porch. "You look good." "Teaching." "Huh, like your old man, spreading wisdom." "Wisdom." I bit back the retort, ordering black coffee to steady shaking hands. He rambled, bounced checks, bar fights, a string of almosts in Ohio mill towns. "Missed you, kid." "And her. But life's a bitch, takes what it wants. And you let it," I said, voice even. Left us to rot. His eyes, my eyes, flickered with something like shame. "Yeah. Cowardice. But I'm here now. Fix things. Fix." As if love were a carburetor. Connor waited outside, engine idling. But I waved him off. This was mine. Dad leaned in, voice dropping. "Heard you're sweet on that vet. Reyes, right? Town talk says he's, you know, careful, son. Folks don't forget." The slur hung, unspoken but sharp. My chair scraped back, chair clattering. "Get out. Don't come back." He did, tailpipe coughing exhaust into the dusk. But the poison lingered. That night, tangled in Connor's sheets, I woke sweating from dreams of hands, Dad's, the coaches clawing at shadows. "He's wrong," Connor murmured, holding me through the shakes. About everything, yet the seed sprouted. Whitaker's chats escalated, parental complaints. "Aaron, about your lifestyle influencing the kids." Lifestyle. As if love were a hobby, not the core of me. I fought back, union rep, emails to the superintendent, but the air thickened, colleagues averting eyes in the lounge. March equinox brought a fall spring, buds unfurling like hesitant promises. Connor proposed a weekend away, Finger Lakes wine trail. No cell service, just us reclaiming joy. We packed the truck, Max's head out the window, tongue lolling in bliss. The B&B in Hammondsport was a gingerbread Victorian, clawfoot tubs and quilts soft as whispers. We toured vineyards, sampling Riesling's crisp as first snow, his hand in mine under the tasting room tables. That night, post-dinner haze of Cabernet, we walked the shore, pebbles crunching under boots. "Marry me," he said suddenly, not on bended knee, but earnest. "Ring less." The lake lapping agreement. "Not tomorrow, when you're ready. But us. Forever." Tears pricked, joy warring with the fractures. "Yes," I breathed, kissing him salt-sweet. It felt like victory, a middle finger to the world. But victories are Pyrrhic in small towns. We returned to find my mailbox stuffed, anonymous notes, sodomite teacher corrupts youth, taped photos of us from New Year's. Blurry but damning. Panic clawed, I burned them in the sink, flames licking like accusations. Connor found me there, smoke alarm blaring. We faced it together. Together. We filed complaints, rallied allies. Sarah flew up, fists flying in metaphor. The local paper ran a piece on queer resilience that split the town like Moses' Sea. Protests brewed, church pickets at the school, rainbow flags on lampposts. I taught through it, voice steady on the Underground Railroad, eyes meeting kids who nodded, secret allies in the back row. April showers unearthed the deepest cut. Dad returned, not contrite, but scheming. He cornered Connor at the clinic. Max's annual shot's a pretext. "Leave my boy alone," he growled, per Sarah's frantic call. "He's confused, needs a real family, not your perversion." Connor, ever the healer, didn't rise to it. Aaron's a man, Mr. Harlan, and he chooses me. But the call shattered me. I confronted Dad at a roadside motel. Neon vacancy buzzing like flies. You don't get to play savior now. You broke us, now stay gone. He laughed. Cruel. Broke? I gave you backbone. This fag shit, that's weakness. The fist came fast, grazing my jaw, splitting lip. I swung back, knuckles cracking on bone, blood blooming on his shirt. Out. Forever. Cops came. No charges. Mutual. Small-town mercy. But the bruise throbbed. A purple bloom mirroring the one on my soul. Connor cleaned the cut. Ice pack gentle. You're stronger than him. Than all of them. Was I. May bloomed. Lilacs heavy with scent. But tension coiled. Whitaker suspended me. Pending investigation, citing distractions. The board meeting loomed. A coliseum of judgment. Connor stood by me, but whispers of his dad pulling strings surfaced. Threats to fund a rival clinic unless Connor straightened up. Climax brewed on Memorial Day. Lake Parade in full swing, flags waving. Brass bands blaring Yankee Doodle. We marched, hand in hand, among the pride contingent, 20 strong. Rainbows defiant against gray skies. Cheers mixed with booze. Eggs splattering the road. Then, the shove from a red-faced man in a trucker hat. Dad's shadow in the crowd. Faggots. Connor went down, elbow cracking on asphalt. Chaos erupted, fists. Shouts. Sirens wailing. I shielded him, heart pounding, as medics swarmed. Fracture. Clean, sling for weeks. But the real break? Mine. In the ER, as they x-rayed, Connor gripped my hand. Worth it. For us. Us. The word anchored, even as the town fractured further. June unfurled sticky and unrelenting. Humidity pressing like unspoken accusations. But in its heat, we forged steel. Connor's arm healed crooked, a faint hitch in his swing, but he joked it was battle scar chic, wielding it like a badge at the clinic where patients trickled back. Loyalty trumping bigotry. My suspension dragged, board meetings devolving into circuses, Whitaker thundering about moral decay, countered by parents waving petitions. Aaron teaches heart, not harm. I testified, voice steady. Love isn't a lesson plan. It's life. And these kids deserve to see it. All of it. The vote swung narrow, reinstated. With discretion advised. Discretion. Code for closet. But I walked out head high. Connor waiting in the hall with roses wilted from the dash. Proud of you, he murmured, kissing my temple. We celebrated at the falls, picnic under the spray. Max splashing like a pup half his age. Water roared approval, drowning doubts. Yet summer's idle hid undercurrents. Dad vanished. Rumors of a bar brawl in Syracuse. Juvie for his troubles, but his ghost lingered in nightmares. Fists and slurs blurring into Whitaker's glare. Connor's dad visited, not with ultimatums, but olive branches, dinners at Italian spots downtown. Halting talks of tradition versus truth. I was wrong. Mijo, he admitted over tiramisu, eyes wet. Love like yours. It's braver than mine ever was. Forgiveness bloomed, tentative. A truce over espresso. Evan resurfaced in July. Email innocuous. Heard about the parade. Connor okay? Miss him. Miss him. The gall twisted fresh. But Connor deleted it unread. Past tense, he said, pulling me close on the dock at sunset, that romantic haze of pinks and purples. Our most sacred scene. You're present. Future. We planned. A commitment ceremony in August. Lakeside. Small. Vows exchanged under the weeping willow. Rings simple silver etched with coordinates of our first kiss. Invites went out. Sarah as best woman. Clinic crew, a rainbow of allies. Mom's urn on the mantel, her spirit toasting with ethereal clink. But August stormed in literally. Thunderheads gathered on the eve, lightning forking like fractured promises. Rehearsal dinner at the bungalow, laughter laced with nerves, paella steaming anew. Midnight found us on the porch, rain sheeting, his head on my shoulder. Scared, he asked. Terrified, I admitted, of losing this. You. He tilted my chin, eyes storm deep. Then hold tighter. Dawn broke clear. Absurdly perfect, blue skies arching over the lake. Birds chattering benedictions. Guests milled, 30 souls. Wildflowers in jars. Max in a bow tie, comically askew. Thou spill, mine. Halting, you saw me when I was invisible. Loved me when I was afraid. His fervent, you're my home. Aaron. In every storm, rings slid on, ceiling. Cheers erupted. But midway through cake, lemon chiffon, Mom's recipe, a shadow fell. Whitaker, uninvited, suit rumpled, face florid. This abomination, security, 2 burly uncles, escorted him out, but not before his parting shot. You'll regret this. Harlan. School's watching. Regret. The word echoed as toasts rang. But Connor's hand in mine grounded me. We danced barefoot on the grass, slow to a playlist of Springsteen and soul, bodies swaying as the sun dipped, gilding the water in gold. That night, alone on the dock, our spot, the world hushed. Fireflies danced, lake whispering lullabies. We did it, he breathed, forehead to mine. We did, but his stars pricked the velvet sky. A call shattered. Sarah. Voice breaking. Evan. He drove off Black Rock tonight. Note said he couldn't live without Connor. The air sucked out. Grief crashing anew. Not for Evan, but the ripple of his pain. The way secrets devour. Connor crumpled. Sobs racking. Guilt's vice tightening. My fault. I should have. No, I fierce whispered, holding him as waves lapped judgment. His choices, not ours. We mourned through dawn, tears for the boy who'd loved wrong. For the fractures, love leaves. News hit papers, suicide. Heartbreak cited, town reeling. Whispers turning to wails of why didn't we see? Empathy surged. Unexpected, vigils at the lake. Rainbows mingling with black armbands. Whitaker resigned, shamed by his own venom. Connor volunteered counseling at the clinic, grief groups for queer youth. A beacon in the dark. I joined, sharing my coach story, voices in the circle nodding. Me too. Fall returned. Leaves aflame, but we burn brighter. October brought Dad's letter, final, from a halfway house, saw the news. Proud. Son. Finally, no return address, but absolution enough. Thanksgiving. We hosted, his dad carving turkey, Sarah toasting to messy miracles, Max beg scraps, tail thumping. Winter loomed, but so did spring, eternal, resilient. 1 year on, anniversary eve, we revisited the dock. Snow dusted the planks. Lake ice fragile. Still in, Connor asked, breath clouding. Always, we kissed, slow and sure. The world watching, stars. Secrets, scars and approving. Life's not a straight path, twists, falls. Betrayals etch the map. But in the bends, love finds you. Human, aching, whole. And that's the real examination. Not survival, but thriving. Hearts open, wounds bared, together. In the end, we chose light, and it chose us back,